Hello, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from New Zealand. And today I thought I'd share with you how I made this masculine inspired card, which I made for a card challenge, which is going live on Friday. And so I'm a little bit in advance, so shh. But I'm away on holiday, so I needed to get it out. So I used for my inspiration this paper, which is a celebration item in this year's celebration promotion. So it's paper called Trusty Toolbox, and it does coordinate with a stamp and die bundle from the January to April mini catalogue. But I thought I'd just get the paper because I figured it had lots of uses, because it's lots of lovely tools on one side, but the backs are very generalised, and I thought quite useful for in all sorts of things, or any kind of masculine inspired card. I could probably whip up using this paper without necessarily, and sort of existing sentiment sets, without necessarily having to buy the tool set. It remains to be seen whether or not I can stick to that resolve, but so far I have. So what I've done for this card was I took this page, which is the tools slightly smaller than they are on that page, and I have just fussy cut out the ones I wanted. And so each of these is just a fussy cut out of this piece of paper, and I've cut some more out for the card we're going to make today, so it's slightly different. So anyway, I'm going to start off with what we need. So obviously the Trusty Toolbox paper, or failing that, a stamp and die set that does tools. For my card base, now all my colours are really predicated on the colours which were in the paper. So my card base is Poppy Parade. It's my normal standard card base, 21 centimetres, or the width of an A4 piece of paper, scored at 10.5 and cut at 14.8. And Poppy Parade is interestingly a colour that I very seldom use. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's just because I normally gravitate to Cherry Cobbler. Anyway, the other thing that we need is 2 pieces of basic white cut 0.5 centimetre smaller, so that's 10 centimetres by 14.3. One of those is for the front, which we're going to play around with. The other piece is for the inside, so we'll just pop that aside for now. Now you can see here that I've cut 2 tags, so you're going to need a piece of basic white and a piece of Lost Lagoon, large enough for the biggest of the tailor-made tags. Now I picked this sort of the squarer looking one because I thought that was sort of had a stronger masculine vibe than that one, but there's no reason you couldn't use that one if you prefer. And also out of the piece of Lost Lagoon, I cut some of those little whole ring reinforcers so that I could attach it there and just bring in that extra little flash of colour. So you need some of those. Here are my aforementioned die cuts. So I tried to get something of every colour that I wanted to use. Some of the crushed curry, some of the Poppy Parade, some of the Lost Lagoon, some of the copper clay. And we'll have a bit of fun mounting those up later. And the other thing you need is, you can see here that I've added in a lovely lifted up dad. Now to do that, I have used something else out of the mini catalogue, this mini alphabet die set, which is interestingly all in one piece. So you can either cut out a whole alphabet, or you can just put paper under the letters that you particularly want. So I did it in Poppy Parade, and then in order to get the lift, what I've done is I've taken some scraps of Poppy Parade, and I have actually already cut them out, but I'll just show you how I did them. So I've got them here, and you can see that they're nice and fat, so they're going to have a nice lot of lift on them. And the way that I did that was I used some of these foam adhesive sheets, which are kind of a cross between the double-sided adhesive paper and a dimensional. So it's just basically a whole slab of dimensional. And so you just cut it off, and both sides are sticky. So peel off one side, attach your whatever colour you want it to be, and then I just put it underneath the letters I wanted, die cut it out, and then what you end up with is just this die cut, and when I'm ready I just have to peel off the back and I can attach it. So that's a kind of handy little product which is hidden away there in the catalogue, and you barely even notice it. So let's just get to work now on what we're going to do. Now you can see that in addition to the tag that I've layered up, I've also put in a nice little bit of stenciling. And so for that I've used the, what are they called? They're called the Artistic Mixed Decorative Masks, and the two that I've used out of the packet are the large one and the smaller one, which of course together you can organise however you like to make sort of a plaid design or any variation thereof. Now if you see anything that I used today in the making of this card and you'd like to add it to your craft stash, don't forget that if you live in New Zealand you're welcome to shop with me, and there's a link to my online store in the video description below and in the end cards, which are about to pop up or will pop up at the end of this video. Okay, so all I've done there is I've used a post-it note just to hold my paper in place, and I'm going to start with the, I have to remember how I did this now. I think I started with the biggest square, and I just kind of angled it over, and then I got my post-it notes, and I just attached them. All they're really here to do is to hold the stencil in place while I'm working. So I've done that, and then I'm going to get some yellow. I am just trying to remember how I did this. I'm pretty sure I started with the lighter colour, so we'll find out. And if I didn't, well, we'll just get a different look going on. So I'm just going to get my blending brushes in there, and I'm just going to blend over. Now what I'm hoping for is just a general slow fade out. So you can see here, I started quite strongly, and then it just sort of is fading out and towards the edges. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'll just do a bit of that. It is one of those things where, you know, sometimes you're just not quite sure what you're going to get until you've got it. Now, I could have just layered that over the top and had another go, but what I did for this to get that particular effect was I took that one off, and then I layered this one into the gaps. But really, you can play around, you know, depending on how you layer up these masks, and depending like which colour you do first and how you layer them up and all that kind of thing, you do get different patterns. So I'm showing you the way that I did it, or at least the way I remember that I did it. But if you're doing something like this, of course, you've got scope to do, you know, your own kind of, you know, your own thing. You know, things will turn out differently. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some Poppy Parade. And I'm just going to go for the same deal. I'm going to go over, stronger at the top, and this sort of fading down. And I'm beginning to wonder whether I did them the other way around, but we shall see. As I said, this is a kind of a, you know, you get what you get with this. So this could be as much a surprise to me as it is to you, just how these ones turn out. So let's see. And the moment we've all been waiting for, the grand reveal. Ta-da! Oh, it did turn out how I did it the first time. I must have done the yellow first, and then the Poppy Parade second. I was beginning to doubt myself as I was swirling it through. Anyway, so that's how I've given myself that sort of tartany plaid background, and so then it's just a matter of attaching that to your card front. In fact, actually from this point on, it's really pretty much just attaching. So we'll pop on the base. Right, with any luck, we'll have that nice little even border around it. Now I've got my two tags, and I'm just, to make sure that they stay where I want them to be, I'm going to glue them together. They might look like they're freestanding, but they are not. Okay, so it's up to you, you know, how much of the underside you want to to show. Now, I'm not quite sure, I can't remember now whether I said to you what I did with that Lost Lagoon tag. Or what I did with it was I embossed it with the metal plate 3D folder because I thought it was carrying on that whole kind of workshop vibe that I had happening. So the metal plate folder, but of course you could use whatever folder you wanted to. Now I have added in some twine, and I'm a huge fan of just ordinary linen twine, and that's what I mostly use for things. But in the Baker's Twine Essential Pack there is some, if I can get it out of the packet, there is some grey granite, and since grey granite is the grey that's in the set, then I decided that I would use that. Now, in my sample card, I've used a double bow because I'm going through a bit of a love affair with double bows at the moment, double string bows. And although I like it, I'm not sure whether I love it. So for this one, I'm just going to do a single one, and we'll see whether one is better than the other. So I'm just going to thread that through, pick up the loop, and then I'm going to fiddle faddle around and get that bow. And afterwards, if I think that's too long, I can always trim it down. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach that to my base before I start building up my cluster of tools. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim to get that line of the plaid parallel with the line of the tag, just because, you know, that just appeals to the sort of the mathematical, logical side of me. And if that is not how you think, then of course you can put the tag on however you want. Okay, so I went for 5 tools out of the paper. There were lots of things to pick from. You know, there were lovely little paintbrushes, and I did want to bring in that copper clay. But what I did was I aimed to get something of all the main colours. So there was the copper clay and the Lost Lagoon, there was the crushed curry, there was the poppy parade. And that was kind of really the only thing I was thinking about when I was deciding what I was going to cut out. So now it's a question of just like playing around with what do I like the look of, and how do I like it to be. I think that one might have to go maybe that way. That can go there. That can go there perhaps. How's my paintbrush going to go? Okay. And then it's a mixture of some gluing and some dimensionaling so that you get a variety of heights happening. You may have to dig out the mini dimensionals for some of it. Doesn't matter. In fact, I think it's probably preferable if your tools are not completely confined by the tag. You know, it's fine if they break the edges of the tag. Right, so probably the thing which takes the longest is the dimensionaling on, and the very longest thing is deciding exactly where you're going to put your tool placement. So that's kind of how we're going to go. And then of course I've chosen to add in Dad as my little sentiment, but of course you could put any sentiment you like there. You know, you could actually just stamp a happy birthday or something along those lines. Or if you've got some little dies like the mini alphabet dies, you can always just put, you know, someone's name if you wanted to. You don't have to, you know, stick to Dad. But I kind of liked it because it's Dad, and then you can put your message inside. You know, Dad, you're a great father for Father's Day. Dad, happy birthday. You know, Dad, thanks for helping me build those bookshelves. You know, whatever it's going to be, you know. It's kind of, in my head, it's a Dad card. And you can see how easy it is really once you put that foam adhesive tape on to just quickly give yourself a nice raised up die cut. And of course you can use it with any die that you like. I've just chosen to use it with the letters, and because I'm trying to keep my head out of the camera, I'm just kind of hoping that I've got that dad straight, or straight enough. Now the very final thing I'm going to do is add in some of the, what are they called? They're called the 2023 to 2025 in colour dots, because that lovely paintbrush colour is that lovely copper clay. And so I'm going to just add in 3 of those just as a final little embellishment. Now where am I going to put them? It's always the drama, isn't it? Where are you going to put your embellishments? Well, I think we'll have one there. Oops. Maybe a little one there. And that big guy, he can go... Oh, he seems to have planted himself there, and that's actually not a bad space for him. So we'll have him there. And there we have it. There's our lovely little Trusty Toolbox dad card. The only other thing is what I did on the inside, and I'll just show you what I did. It was a very simple treatment. I just took my piece of 10 by 14.3 and added in a little strip of the DSP. But again, you know, as I always say to my class people, you can experiment on the inside, have a try out with whatever you like. Anyway, I hope that's given you some ideas for what you might do, and I hope you found some inspiration from it. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. I'm always happy to answer questions, and I can be reached through the contact details in the video description below and in the end cards that are about to pop up. And similarly, if you live in New Zealand and you've seen anything that I've used and you'd like to shop with me, then please do so, and the link is also in the video description below. If you want to catch that Trusty Toolbox in the Celebration, that Trusty Toolbox paper from Celebration, then you need to act before the end of February, because that's the end of Celebration. Anyway, if you have liked what you've seen and you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. But above all else, everyone, happy stamping.